Update: would I be the a-hole for reporting my mom and sister for stealing my car? Original post: I, 24 male, live with my mom in a rural part of the USA. For context, when it comes to my sister, 37, she is much older, and we come from different fathers. We both grew up in split custody arrangements. We are not particularly close, almost acquaintances more so than siblings. I don't really feel any familial connection even though I love her. I don't feel obligated to bend backwards for her. Well, sister lives 2 hours away in a much more urban area and is currently going through a divorce. Her and her ex-husband only had one vehicle, and it belongs to the ex-husband. So when they split, he took the car. Sister has 4 daughters and works a full-time job. I, on the other hand, work from home and have no real external responsibilities. My mom came to me asking if my sister could borrow my car for a couple of months until the divorce is finalized, so she has a way of transporting her and her kids to wherever they need to be, without the financial burden of purchasing another car or relying exclusively on ride-sharing. I just recently bought my car, 2012 V8 Mustang, and it's my first vehicle ever. I didn't get a hand-me-down or get one as a present when I turned 16 or 18. I was basically immobile, except occasionally being allowed to drive my mom's car, or when my dad had me, I could get Ubers. Getting my own vehicle was extremely liberating, minus the loan, and I don't feel trapped at home. So when I was approached with this proposal, I flat out said no. I can totally understand the justification for letting her use my car for a couple months, but aside from the fact I don't want to lose my newfound sense of freedom, I also just don't want someone else driving my car. And maybe that's selfish of me. Over the last few days, my mom and sister have been trying to convince me to let her use the car, saying that she would pay for the car payment while she has the car, or that she'd pay for insurance if she has it longer than anticipated. No matter what they brought to the table, I kept saying no, much to their dissatisfaction. Fast forward to this morning, I realized that my mom isn't home. I opened our garage to see that her car was still there, but mine was not. I immediately know what has happened and call my mom about the situation. She just tries to calm me down and have me try to picture it from my sister's point of view. But I'm just flushed with rage, and instead just tell her that I'm going to report the vehicle as stolen instead. She just hung up the phone. As of now, I presume my car is down with my sister, and I am seriously considering reporting it stolen and naming her and my sister as perpetrator and conspirator. I really don't want it to go that far, and I hope that we could instead work this out. But what I initially said as an angry threat, I'm starting to really consider as an option. I just don't know if it's worth burning so many bridges over a car, but the fact that my family won't respect my boundaries or my property is so frustrating. Would I be the a-hole? Not the a-hole. This is absolutely theft, and they need to learn to respect your property. Call it in. If mom wanted sister to have a car so much, mom should have offered mom's car and not your car. There is no way that your sister will respect and care for your car the same way you would. Also, with 4 daughters, it's only a matter of time before hamburger stains and soft drink spills start appearing. I would call the police. It's the only way apparently to get your point across, as you have said no multiple times. If I were feeling inclined to warn them, I would give 15 minutes on top of the time it takes to drive from her home or work to Opie's place. That's more than generous. They may say this will ruin her life. But no, she is ruining her life by stealing a freaking car. She has the opportunity to bring it back right now, or get picked up from her home or work by the police. The most recent activity on Opie's account is 8 hours ago, and I hope he'd gone quiet because he's been dealing with this since an hour after posting and immediately being hit with dozens of supporting comments. Please update us when you're ready, Opie. The only thing that concerns me about taking the nuclear option here is that, from what it sounds like at least, they do have leverage over him, or the mom does at least, because I'm assuming the mom owns the house he lives in. I know for me, if I were ready to take the police route, I'd also be prepared to get kicked out of the house and make sure I have all my stuff prepared to go beforehand. Giving someone a police record is kinda a big flaming bridge you gotta be ready to leave behind for good. If your sister can afford to make your payments and pay insurance, why can't she rent a car or buy a beater? Stealing your car seems like a very bad choice on her part. Give her 24 hours to get it back and lock up all copies of your keys. Agree. Or go after her ex who took their only vehicle and left her and 4 kids stranded. And you know there is no way she is safely transporting 4 kids in a Mustang. Depending on their ages, some may need a car seat, and those take up a good bit of space. What is irking me is that I thought Opie's car was the only one available. But no, the mom has one, which probably is more suitable to transport 4 kids and an adult. And if that is the reason for the need of the car, then I'm sorry, the kids are not Opie's responsibility. The kids have a father that took away the car. It's his responsibility. So no, screw the sister, but especially the mom for not wanting to offer her car but Opie's instead. First update. Thanks everyone for all the input into the situation. I sincerely appreciate it. I ended up giving them an ultimatum to return my car by business close tonight. And if they do, I would be willing to move past it and not let it affect any future relationships. Said I would also pitch in a small amount of money to help my sister rent or buy her own car. But if they don't return it by business close, I will be filing a police report that my vehicle has been stolen, and that it was my mom who is the perpetrator and my sister is a conspirator. To answer a couple questions all at once. Mom has her own car, but doesn't want to lend hers out because she needs it for work every day. I had offered to let her use mine for work and she lend out her car to sister. But she refuted this idea, saying that she doesn't feel comfortable driving my car and that she needs ample space for medical supplies. She is an in-home nurse. I am well aware that my living situation will change if I call the police on my mom and sister. But honestly, the living situation is already compromised. Regardless of the resolution, I will be moving out as immediately as possible as I am financially stable enough to do so. This whole thing is just the straw that broke the camel's back. Didn't put an original post, but I've been getting a lot of comments regarding living for free at my mother's house. We split bills 60-40 on basically everything. It's not truly 50-50, but absolutely by no means am I freeloading at my mom's house. We'll update again if car has been returned or not. I just want to say this. A 2012 V8 Mustang only seats 4 people. Your sister has 4 kids. Your sister is tying the 4th to the roof? Seriously, call the cops. Also call your insurance after you speak to the police in case there ends up being damage to the car. Moving is a great idea. You deserve to feel like your things are safe in your home. I read the original post and noticed that fact as well, but brushed it off. Now that I'm thinking about it again, depending on the ages of the children, some may be required to be in a car seat, and even more so, be forbidden to ride in the front seat, limiting seating even more. Not the a-hole. I just finished reading your original post and am glad you've updated. Fingers crossed your mother saw sense and has returned your car. Was it even insured for them to drive? Good luck. Looking forward to a positive outcome for you. Even if you can afford to help out, don't. The fact that your mom and sister took it, knowing you had already told them no, is enough. Instead of helping her, call it rental fee forgiveness and the fact you haven't had her arrested for car theft. Your living situation will and should change regardless of calling the police or not. You said no, and they didn't respect you enough to abide by your decision over your property. That's the very first thing that needs to change. If your sister can make the car and insurance payments on a Mustang, she can afford an old beater temporarily. There is no reason for you to pitch in. The beater car is really what his sister needs anyways. A cheap cash car that will allow her to save her money for something better. Not doing the making payments and insurance on a V8 Mustang owned and driven by a 24-year-old. The insurance alone is probably hefty. Your sister's comment on she would pay the insurance if she had it longer than anticipated tipped you off that she is already planning to keep the car indefinitely. And not only does your mom not want to give up her car, but I'm betting your sister prefers to drive your car and beg mom to bring it. The reason I think that is, mom can't give sister her car and drive yours because she is scared of driving yours, but not scared enough to not steal it and drive it 2 hours away. Update 2. Car has been returned, so the police will not need to get involved. However, there is body damage that wasn't there the last time I used it. I can't tell if it was intentional damage or not, but it honestly doesn't matter. We'll be getting all relevant papers in order, and then we'll be lawyering up so the damages are paid for. As soon as this entire situation is resolved, I will be moving out, and I have learned to never keep my keys out ever again. Thanks so much everyone for your input and advice. Final update. After the overwhelming majority of you told me that I need to go to the police in my last post, I have decided to report the entire situation to my local sheriff's office. We'll do everything in my power to make it so charges aren't pressed, which I hope is likely since car was returned. We'll still be doing everything I mentioned in my previous post regarding getting all papers in order and moving out as soon as possible. We'll probably still look into getting a lawyer just in case. told the sheriff's office that my car was stolen for approximately 16 hours by my mom and sister, and that when the car was returned there was body damage that wasn't previously there. They are sending over a deputy to take a look at my car and question myself and my mom about the situation. I have group text chats that list my ultimatum, as well as some texts that were exchanged previously about mom and sister essentially begging to use my car while I kept saying no. I will be making my mom and or sister pay for the body damage, and if insurance won't, I will be going to court for it. I don't care how petty that is, or if it just opens an even larger can of worms. I absolutely refuse to pay $2,000 plus for body damage repairs that I didn't create. Hopefully this is the actual final update I will have to post regarding this situation. Regardless of the damage, I'm just glad that I have my car back. Family situation is beyond busted and will be going no contact with my sister for an indefinite amount of time, and will do the same with mom as soon as I move out, which is hopefully by the end of the month. Thank you all for your advice and input throughout this whole ordeal. Hey Opie, I am an estimator for an auto insurance company you have definitely heard of. Not that it makes much of a difference in a practical fashion, but this heavy scraping with even horizontal lines is indicative of fixed property damage. In other words, it doesn't look like another car hit yours. It looks like the driver hit some hard object, like concrete, brick, stone, etc. I am not an estimator for any kind of auto insurance company and have no practical experience in that regard. But I have taught multiple teenagers to drive, and this looks exactly like a new driver who wasn't good at estimating the length of a very nose-heavy car, whacking a bollard on the way out. Former estimator for a company you've heard of. I'm calling it as the sister is in an apartment and hit a red bollard next to the dumpsters. V8, big front end, pulling in, damaged scrapes front to back, not back to front, and has a reddish tinge. She tried to park next to a red post and came in hot and with a big front and hit the front passenger side as she pulled in. Had no idea where it was and tried to cut the same angle as a Civic or small crossover. She didn't smack it on the way out, unless the car was backed in or she just swung way out into oblivion. That was probably done on the way in. She hit front to back. Thank God, and while it's not fully in your control, charges being pressed wouldn't be the end of the world. They don't seem to understand that actions have consequences, and this may be the way they learn that. Good luck, Opie. Also a heads up, your rates may go up with your insurance, so maybe make them aware of the police report. Generally, a DA won't pursue it if the victim is unwilling to cooperate, unless it's a major crime. Even some felonies like assault won't be acted on, because it's not worth their time if the victim isn't cooperating. Am I the a-hole for not using my parental leave to take care of my sister's baby? I've been very burnt out from work and wanted to take some time off. I found out through my boss that managers like me get paid parental leave. And since I adopted my husband's sons earlier this year, I qualify for it. He said it still counts even though both boys are teenagers. My sister, who also works for the same company, found out, and she's upset because she is pregnant and doesn't get paid parental leave since she's not in a management position. My sister doesn't think that's fair since my boys don't need to be watched like her baby will. Now she wants me to set up my parental leave later to coincide with right after she has her baby, so I can babysit for her and she won't have to pay for childcare. To be honest, I don't want to. The whole reason I was going to take time off was because I am burnt out right now and need time to relax. If I waited for her, I'd have to wait 4 more months until she has the baby. I don't have any experience with babies, but if it's anything like TV shows and movies, I doubt I'd be able to relax while watching a newborn. Not the a-hole. Your parental leave is yours to do with what you please. It sucks that your sister doesn't get paid parental leave though. Your family is your priority, not your sister's. She can figure it out. Your adopted sons may be teenagers, so don't need hands-on caretaking. But life changes, such as blending families and adopting teenagers, require emotional energy and can contribute to burnout. Recharging as part of a big life change is a morally valid use of your legal family leave PTO. Managers are under particular stresses at work that are poorly understood by others. I'm glad your company realizes it's short-sighted not to encourage managers to take a breather under family circumstances like yours. And before people downvote, I want to say it is a first step and hopefully will be widely recognized as a win-win and expanded to all employees. Tell your sister no once and for all and refuse to discuss any further. Don't defend or explain or negotiate, which is her goal. Save your energy. Not the a-hole. If you're burned out, taking care of a newborn will not help. Sincerely, a mom of an 8-month-old who was not burnt out before delivery. I helped my friend and I wasn't burned out, but the baby had colic. Not really any peace, and I thought the baby was broken at one point since he wouldn't stop crying. Couldn't do more than a week before I was the one broken from no sleep. Seriously, I didn't know if I was coming or going. Definitely not relaxing. My mom made a deal with the universe. She says that they did a test before I was born, 2 days before she went into labor, and there was no evidence that my lungs had developed, so the hospital was prepared to incubate when I was born a preemie. She told the universe, I don't care if she cries every day for a year, or every day for the rest of her life. Just need her to cry. Because if I cried, I had lungs. I was a colic baby, and I cried for that entire first year, and I still cry at any big emotion. But I had lungs, so I didn't have to be incubated. Not the a-hole, and it's pretty selfish of her to feel entitled to your leave. That kind of judgment and reasoning is why she is not a manager.